We are on week 13, day 24, Monday, and NET-200 networks. We talked about doing lab work, we talked about packet tracer materials, we talked a little bit about IP6, and we really just got started on the application. First thing we covered, we looked at the syllabus. In there's a place that describes the information you should have in every document. And we're talking about the labs, and we talked about packet tracer too, you know, 3 major things you should turn in when you're turning in packet tracer. So in the labs, we should have some type of diagram, or the lab materials would have the diagram in it. Proof of connectivity, you know, you could have things from a workstation, ping, accessing a website, telnetting to another machine, another server, or another device, or whatever. So we do those things from a workstation, and then there's a number of things you can do from a router and a switch. You might have routing table, show IP interface brief, you might show some routing information, and so forth. Anyway, proof that it's working, and then you should also list after that the configurations and do some things to identify so it's clear what you're indicating, you know, what's what, so it's easy to go through the document and spot. We did some work. We talked about global IP addressing, 48 bits, the subnet, 16 bits, and then we talked about the interface, 64 bits. We looked at some examples of IP6. For example, we looked at local, link local address, and we looked at that range and how they came about that range. We're not going to go through all that now, but and we talked about when you subnet, it's the same thing. It's just a matter of moving where you're going to cut it off and what's going to represent the interface, okay, and then what part of the address is going to affect or represent the network. Towards the end of the hour, we talked about the application layer, and really, we now here we're talking about TCP/IP. Okay, so this really, in the OSI model, this would take 3 items: application, presentation, and session. Okay, so we talked about the protocols that are up here. Domain name services, talk a little bit about that. Hypertext transfer protocol, secure. Talked a little bit about how these two are related. DHCP, getting IPs for devices. Sending mail, getting mail. So we'll use those next week after Thanksgiving. We'll talk about those. We'll talk more about the application layer. We finished up the lab. I did an example with 23. We talked about the addressing here between here. Then the students redid their work going this way. Address they started with. This was the device. And then we borrowed 3 bits. So turn it into a /27. And so we reviewed a little bit about the addressing. And then the students finished up the lab and then put together something good for submission. Updated their submission document to turn in. Okay. Then I told them they can go ahead and clear the machines. We'll start fresh after Thanksgiving. So they need to continue to work on the materials on the application layer. There are 2 labs. We are not requiring any packet tracers, even though if a student wants to do 1 or 2 of those, I can put a place for them to submit it and get some points out of points. And these labs can be done outside of class, so students can look at those at any time, and they're due next week after Thanksgiving. Well, and then application layer, and then we do some network building to finish out the year. That's it.